Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to our series of engagement with graduate of nutrition and dietetics. This is Leshi, and then I have my guest with me. She is going to introduce herself. She will tell us who she is and or what she does. And we remember we had episode one, we also had episode two, and this is our third episode. This is the final of this series. I bet you will enjoy joining us today. I have here with me my dear friends whom we kind of school together, and then she is an icon in fashion industry. Allow her to introduce herself to us and tell us what she does. Over to you, Shalewa. Shalewa, can you
Hello, everyone.
please?
Thank you very much, Mr. Leshi, Dr. Leshi. Hello, yes, I'm a graduate of human nutrition from the University of Ibadan. I graduated in 2009, and yeah, right now I'm a fashion designer and interior designer based in Abuja. Now, of course, I'm still a very proud graduate of nutrition. So yes, I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's good to meet with you once again, Shalewa. Shalewa happened to be someone who um, has exemplified herself in a chosen field, which is fashion industry. So tell us, Shalewa, how did you venture into nutrition? Did you stumble into nutrition or nutrition stumble into you? How come? How did you get to nutrition? Tell us about your story.
Nutrition and I stumbled into each other. It's a very long story. Okay, so like most of us who studied human nutrition, like most of us who studied nutrition, then we started off wanting to study medicine. And growing up, I think I was a daddy's girl. So that one child who always wanted to do everything to please my dad, who was always, following my dad around and everything. And my dad happens to be a chartered accountant, by the way. But he also, while a medical doctor. So, due to circumstances, finance, and a lot of other things, he somehow found himself studying accounting in the Polytechnic Ibadan. And but he had always just had that, flair, that passion for, how our parents are a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, right? So being, daddy's little girl, I think he just chose the career. So, and I just, just flowed, just, went along with the flow based on daddy's girl. So I think he had just put it in my head. So I grew up, I don't remember ever sitting down at any point to say this is what I want medicine and this is why I want to study medicine. There was never that time. I just grew up knowing that I wanted to study medicine. I found myself, in the sciences, and I left high school in 2003. I graduated in 2003. I wrote my first jam, and jam jammed me. I was an above average was compared to some of my classmates in the area. I was just, still struggling. But yeah, I was very much above average. So it came as a shocker to everybody that I wrote lessons, did everything, tried it again. And the second time I wrote my jam, which was in 2000, like I put all of my effort, all of my energy into it, read all the past questions, back to back, and on the day of the examination, for some reason or the other, they gave me my question paper an hour late. I think the
Wow.
jam, you have four. grade. And then I also did physics, chemistry, biology. So I think altogether, I think we had about 3 hours for everything. I can't quite remember, but I remember missing 1 hour after everybody else had started. I started 1 hour couldn't find my question paper. So the invigilator promised he was going to give me extra time, to catch up and everything. And so we started writing the exam eventually, and I started, and it was looking very good actually because I was in fact more than prepared. At the end of the day, it was time for others to stop, and I was like, no, sir, I said an extra hour. So I didn't even bother trying to rush because I felt like I had ample time. Only for this guy to come and say, yeah, I'll submit your. And I was like, no, sir, I said it an hour later than everybody else. And, we started dragging. And in other news, he made since I lost a whole hour. I couldn't finish. Maybe I finished English and biology. I probably just rushed through physics. But details, but it was crazy. I left the place, in tears because I was like, I don't even know what to expect. But whatever happens, so we waited, that long wait between when you write your jam, then and when the result finally comes out, and result finally came out, and I scored 230, maybe 260 something or 270 something, I can't remember. But I scored 232, and I was heartbroken. In fact, it was crazy for me. It was a tough time for me. So the only other option, because my then second choice, other option was to check if my score was enough to fit into physiotherapy, and then take a change of course for put physiotherapy as my first choice, in UI. So we went, and lo and behold, therapy was 232. So I was happy. I took a change of course form. I filled in physio as my first choice, with the mind that of course I'll do physiotherapy in 200 level. So now it was time to submit our the registrar was like, no, I didn't meet the cutoff. And I was like, no, we checked. I scored 232, and the cutoff is 232. We actually checked with you, and apparently the list they posted for the cutoffs had a typo. And so instead of putting, so I put 233. So I went short of physiotherapy cutoff by just 1 mark.
Wow.
You can
Wow.
So she advised that I take another form, change to human nutrition. And that was like the easiest human nutrition cut off. Do human nutrition for a year. It's still under College of Medicine after all. Do human nutrition for a year. After that 1 year course and all of that. And that was how I found myself with the mind of crossing to medicine in 200 level. Was not really into it. I was like, one leg in, one leg out. We're all still doing the same courses anyway. So it wasn't really much. I was still trying to get used to being in uni and all of that. Now, as a child, I'd always loved fashion, right? So I was look good. I think then I even loved fashion probably more than now. I don't know, but I was always wanting to wear fancy clothes and everything. And another talent that I had growing up was drawing. So I liked drawing a lot. I would always draw. So at some point, you check all my school notes, pretty dresses. Like I had them everywhere. I was always drawing girls in all sorts of pretty dresses and all of that. And my mom noticed this early enough, and she had always said, "Oh, when I grow up, I'm going to learn fashion designing. So all these dresses I'm always drawing, I can, give life to them." And so it was just like a playful, until this fateful day. I was in 100 level. We're based in Ibadan, by the way. My parents' house is about, so I was shuttling between home and school. Some days I was sleeping. My dad went out and saw this tabletop electric sewing machine. I was like, oh, let's just have this in the house for the sake of, if you want to mend clothes. And then Shalewa likes, fashion now. She can just use it to start something. I don't know if that was his biggest mistake, but it worked out fine for me. So he ended up buying the sewing machine, brought it to the house, and that was it. I was hooked. that day I made my first dress ever without having any prior knowledge. I just went into my wardrobe, brought out some clothes. I practically pieced my clothes. I deconstructed them, took out all the seams, sewed
mm,
them and started cutting. And I sat down on the machine, spent hours, figured out how to use it. Thankfully, it's an electric machine, so I mean, there's just one switch and one pedal, and you're good to go. It's not like you're pedaling like
mm,
the manual machine. So I didn't really need to have. I just went through the manual, and before I did not sleep a wink that night. I remember from afternoon all through the night. I sewed all through the night. And by morning I had a top ready and
mm,
I wore it, and it was okay. Of course, it wasn't perfect. It was far from perfect, but I was proud of myself because it did look like a top, and it was wearable. It wasn't a perfect fit, but at least I was able to wear it. And that was it for me. And from then on, every dime I had, I'll just buy fabrics, I'll buy sewing catalogs, I'll buy books. I was walking through in front of UI bookshop one day, and I saw a book through the showcase, and I walked inside. I can't remember how many thousands I bought the book. It wasn't expensive, it was all these thrift books. It wasn't a brand new book. It's an English book, the Vogue sewing book. I saw it very big. I've never read a textbook that big before in my entire
mm.
life. But you know,
Wow.
this particular one, I still have that book till date. It goes everywhere with me. When I was moving to Abuja, I came with it. It's in my
Mm,
office as we speak. So I started looking through the books. I'll just take chapter by chapter wherever I needed help. And that was it. I started making, before I knew it, I was making things for myself that I could actually wear to school. And you know, my friends would ask, "Oh, I like your top," and I'm like, "I made it myself," you know. And then before we knew it, I was sewing for my friends. I was making them simple tops, simple dresses, you know. And at some point, I realized, wait, I'm spending hours staying up at night to sew for school. So then I started spending more time at home than in school. You know, I just make excuses for my dad, like, "Oh, I miss home. I want to be at home." Whereas I was actually going home to sew, and I just ensured that I wasn't failing exams,
mm,
but in my mind, bro, I was no longer in school. Like I just at that point, I just wanted to be a tailor. I just wanted to be sewing clothes at that point, you know. So I started charging my friends, you know, at least collecting money for fabrics and basic things. And then before I knew it, I started increasing my prices, and it started like a joke. And before I knew it, all my classmates knew I was sewing, and I started making clothes for them. And during the holidays, I brushed up a little more, you know, gradually. And at the end of 100 level, yes, it was it was my dad's turn to get heartbroken. At the end of 100 level, he expected me to get the change of course form, you know, cross to medicine. And I kept telling him the form is not out. So I kept posting. You know, we went on the long break. 200 level resumed. My dad was like, "Shima, what's going on? When are you going to get your change?" I'm like, "The form is not out." Whereas the form had been out, had closed. People had submitted. And so when we resumed 200 level now, I resumed back to human nutrition. And at some point, my dad had to come to school to find out what was going on. This girl needs to cross to medicine. And at that point, even me, my grades were not enough to get me to cross to medicine. I will not lie because I'd already gotten distracted, you know. So my focus was already off studying hard to cross to medicine. My
mm,
focus was on look, just do the barest minimum, skill through human nutrition, and you know, face your passion. That was my so when my dad eventually found out that the change of course form had closed, I'd
mm,
been lying to him. He was very heartbroken. It took a while for him to, you know, get himself together, and then he now started nursing the idea that I would finish human nutrition for my first degree and then take medicine as a second degree. Of course, we knew that, you all of that is straight for another day. After I even graduated, you know, he did everything he could. At some point, he wanted me to take my master's in public health, but we all knew where I was headed anyway. So I that was how I managed through school. I ensured that I always stayed above average. I was never the best student in my class, but I wasn't a failure either. I
mm,
graduated without having a single carryover. I
mm,
ensured that it didn't affect my studies as much as possible. I knew I wasn't putting my 100% because all through uni I would at some point I just even stopped getting rooms in school, accommodation in school. I just gave up and, you know, started coming to school from home. So I would sew overnight, then come to school in the morning, go to class after lectures. I'll go and deliver my clothes to my customers. At that point, at a 200, 300 level, I started having customers in banks. I started having customers outside of just my classmates and all of that. I'd made a couple of bridal train dresses. I think I made my first actual wedding gown when I was in 300 level. It's not a gown that I'll be exactly proud of today, but at the time I did very well and the people liked it and they paid me. I mean, so every holiday, every free time was just an opportunity for me to sew. I was meeting people and I just knew that right after school I wanted this was what I wanted to do. So I said I was going to do my NYSC in Oyo State. I stayed back in Oyo State for my NYSC. I put money together. So by the time we were graduating, by the time we were done with final exams that was at November of 2009, I put money together. My dad added some money for me. I got my first shop before going for NYC. I just got the shop, closed it. I didn't have anything in there. And then went for NYC first week of March or thereabouts. Came back and it was like April 2010. I was ready to open. I remember not having a cutting table. I would cut on the floor. And, I started building it gradually from there. And here we are
Hmm.
today.
Wow, wow, this is superb. I mean, you've gone through the whole story, and I sincerely appreciate you. I'm sure that you are currently being a source of inspiration to a number of younger folks who have found their love in fashion industry. You can see how Shalewa started her journey and then how she continued in her journey. So, for Shalewa, before we move on, let's just quickly go back to your experience as student. I will come back to the fashion industry and how you have been able to navigate through the fashion industry over the years now. With respect to your studentship, how will you say that you were able to manage? You talked about the fact that you were able to ensure that you did not fail, all right, that you were not a failure. And even though you were not at the among the top in the class, nevertheless, you did not have any outstanding course to write. How were you able to manage your academics with your passion, which is fashion?
Thank you. I think it's just a case of focus and time management. Focus in the sense that you know what you want, you know where you're going, right? You know your priorities, right? As much as I wanted to be a fashion designer, I knew that dropping out of school was never an option. That was number one. I knew that my education still had to be priority. I mean, so irrespective of the fact that I was enjoying the sewing, I was enjoying making money too, right? I always just reminded myself. I think it's a matter of self discipline and not getting carried away. Because I remember there was this time that we had this long break. I think they were trying to stabilize the school calendar, or maybe it was a strike, a very brief strike, maybe a 2 month strike. School was off for like a couple of months or thereabouts. I think it was sometime in 2008. And during that period, I'd taken a bridal train job. And then out of the blues, they called off the strike, and we had started exams. I think we had written GES and probably one other paper. Yeah, we had written a couple of papers before the strike began. And so when they called off the strike, I was like, what? I had exams to write. I had to pass. Failing the exam was not an option at all. So there was that. And then there was the fact that I'd collected money for bridal train clothes and I'd even spent part of the money. So doing a refund was not an option, right? The wedding date was close. I'd even bought the fabrics. I'd cut the fabrics. And I didn't have anybody helping me. It was just me in the house. So it was crazy. So at that point, I pressured myself. I burnt the candles. I worked back to back for days, ensured that within 2, 3 days I was done with the clothes. And then I faced my books and read as if my entire life depended on it.
Mm,
So I think it's about being able to strike a balance, right? As much as I was always sewing, I was always having clothes to sew and all of that, I never missed classes. I ensure that I never miss classes. It's a question of priority. You know that I knew that I had the rest of my life to pursue my career in fashion designing, but I knew that I had to sacrifice these 4 years to get a degree first and not put my parents to shame and
mm,
not be a dropout. So I had to focus. I knew what was at stake if I failed exams, if I dropped out of school. So it's a question of being able to strike the balance. I mean, you have your school timetable. You know when you have classes. And as much as I was taking jobs, I was taking sewing jobs, I ensured that I never ate into the time of my. I'd rather disappoint a client than miss courses or fail a test or miss
Mm.
an exam or something, So it's just about getting your priorities right. I mean, so if I had to sew all night and then go to class, I wouldn't sew all night and then go to class. You know, I ensured that whenever I got home, if I had assignments, I'll face my assignments first, get my assignment done, because there's a tendency to begin to sew, get carried away, forget that you have to drop off, and then the next day has come and you've not still done your assignment. So I had to be able to manage my time. I had to know what I was doing. I had to also make a lot of sacrifices. Okay, so I'm a very, very social person, even up till now. But I still needed to, like, you know, forfeit some things, some of the so called fun. The only year in school that I can say that I really had a social life was, I think, in 300 level, when I was social director somehow. I think I just wanted to do a little bit of politics in school, So, yeah, I was social director in my department in 300 level, and so there were a lot of activities and all of that. And at the end of 300 level, everybody expected. I gave it. Now, there's one thing about me: if I want to do something, I want to put my 100% into it. So, as social director that year, I remember giving my 100%. I went all out. These things, that were, everybody, it came as a surprise to everybody. And everybody expected that in 400 level I just carry on and probably run for president or vice president. I was like, no, I'm not doing anything anymore. 400 level, I cannot break my record. I cannot afford to have an extra year. I cannot afford to have a carryover. So this year I want to face my books, write my exams, write my projects, and graduate. Not graduating. So I didn't want any distractions. So 400 level, I didn't do politics. So it's about being able to strike that balance. Whatever will distract me from my books, I wasn't staying back in class after lectures to read and do tutorials and all those. No. I was doing almost like the barest minimum, but I knew I was doing enough at least to graduate with good grades. So yeah, it's just about getting your priorities right, knowing what you want, and going all out to get it. And whenever you have questions, whenever you need help, you can ask the more brilliant students. They're always willing to help you. So we're not all book inclined. You don't have to be over intelligent. Not everybody has that zeal to read. But make sure you're doing enough, and make sure you don't get too carried away. So I think that was how I was able to strike the balance.
Wow, wow. You said quite a number of things. I'll pick the last word that you said now. No matter what, make sure that you are doing enough. Make sure that you are doing enough. You talked about the fact that it is important for everyone to prioritize the academics at that particular moment, which you also did. You were able to prioritize your academics when you need to burn the midnight candle for your fashion and your passion. You did, and when you also need to prioritize your academics, you also did. You talk about focus. I mean, one should be able to be focused and remain focused in all that you're doing. And they should ensure that there's no form of distraction. You should not allow your passion, all right, to distract you from your academics. Yes, we know that you are passionate about it, but nevertheless, for that short period, 4 or 5 years that you're going to spend in school, make sure that your priority, you should be focused on your priority, which is your academics. Every other thing is kind of secondary. Of course, you pay attention to other things thereafter. Then you talked about determination. I mean, your story is so inspiring. You were determined, and then you remain resolute in that regard. Then being able to strike balance. I mean, it's that's one key thing. Being able to strike balance between your academics and your passion, as well as your social life. I'm happy to even hear that you venture into politics, which I know about. Yes, you venture into politics, and you also were able to have a taste of politics, and that is very, very inspiring. Thank you so much once again, Shalewa, for sharing this thought with us. You know, you made reference to the fact that in the course of your studies in school there was a form of strike, and then incidentally you had some um, jobs to deliver to clients. I'm sure that for those of us that are in public university where our strike has just been called off, some has resumed and some are planning to resume in the coming weeks. And then I know quite a number of students, this is the truth, that are struggling with how will I cope when I get back to school? I've ventured into other things and I've even taken some jobs that I don't know how to go about the delivery and the rest. I still spoke with someone earlier today and I was asking her, are you ready for resumption? She actually told me she's not ready for resumption because there's quite a number of things that she has planned for herself. What kind of word of wisdom will you share with people that are in this kind of shoe currently that are struggling? Some of them are even thinking of dropping out of school at this very moment because they've been able to make sufficient money while being at home in the course of the strike. Some have even even asking the question, what is the essence of education when I'm already making the money? What can you tell? What kind of word of advice can you share with students that are in that dilemma now, that they don't know whether to continue with their education or focus on business?
Thank you. I think what I'd like to say is just ask them to, it is a dilemma, right? It can be a very confusing situation. I know quite a number of people. In fact, I see on my timeline every day, sets complaining about, oh, they're not ready for this resumption. Like, okay, can we just, sets who have been complaining for months about sitting in our room, and then all of a sudden it's time to resume, and they suddenly want the resumption to be pushed to January or February. So yes, I've been in that situation before, and I know how it felt. But what I'd like to say is remember why you started.
Hmm,
We're in a society where education is important. Even if you're going to have a degree in Yoruba education, get a degree.
hmm,
It's very important. It's very key. I mean, if you're for whatever vocation you have ventured into, it would have been amazing if maybe that was, for someone like me who had fashion design. Now we have two different categories of people now in this situation. There are those people like me who, even while school was on, we knew we wanted to be doing something else and we were pursuing it already. So
hmm,
you already know where you want to go. You know that you're just getting the certificate for the sake of it, right? And then there are those who really wanted that education, who are studying the course they wanted to study.
hmm,
But along the line, they got discouraged because of the system, because of all the strikes and everything. And, there's the fact that, in fact, graduating doesn't even guarantee you a job. I mean, you could be out of school for 3 years, 5 years, and you still don't get a job. So there's that discouragement as well. So if you fall into the category of those who, for instance, you wanted to study medicine, you got medicine, you are studying medicine, and then strike happens for almost a whole year, and then you've gone to learn how to bake, and you're already enjoying the baking, and you're not going to throw away how many years of studying medicine. Remind yourself of why you started in the first place, right? And just finish it for yourself, for your parents, for everybody who's been looking up to you, for the sake of all the effort that you have put in. You can't come this far and then not finish. It's in your own interest. It's a star added to your crown. I don't know if that term is right to use,
hmm,
but just remember why you started. Remember your first love, so to speak. Remember your passion. You've come this far, and by the time you resume school and you only need about 1 week to stabilize, you readjust and you get back in the system. And whatever it was you were doing, while you were home that you're enjoying already, you can still continue on the side. I was able to combine my education with my business without one particularly affecting the other. So if you feel that you can manage it together, yes, by all means do so. But if you feel that whatever vocation you ventured into will distract you from your business, how about you just put that aside for a while? And because trust me, education is key. There are places in this life that you cannot get to without an education, without a
wow,
university degree,
wow,
in whatever. So
hmm,
you owe yourself that much. That's why
hmm,
I said, even if it is your education, just
hmm,
do. And
wow,
if you're like me, who even because self we're not really interested in that degree, you started already. So if I have 4 years to study a course and I've done 3 years out of it, I'll be doing myself a lot of injustice to throw all those 3 years of my life away because of, just pull through it and just be done with it. Just give it your best. You've come this far
hmm.
already, so you can do it. I think it's just about talking to yourself, and being determined, basically.
Wow, great. This is wonderful. It's all about talking to yourself, be real, be sincere with yourself, and as much as possible, remember your first love. Remember your first love. Remember the foundation in which you are building on. Uh, Thank you so much, Shalewa. I would like to ask a build up to that question and tell us from your experience over the years, how has your being a graduate, being a university graduate, how has it in any way influenced, affected positively or negatively your business? Has there been a time in the course of your business that your being a graduate was a plus for you, so that those that are also in your shoe or that are currently struggling, they were able to see that they still need to give more to their university education rather than dropping out in the course of their being a student. What can you say? Has there been a time in the course of your fashion business where you were able to say that thank God that I actually graduated from university?
Yes, definitely, and in so many ways. One major factor is respect. Like I said earlier, we live in a society where education is important. I know people today who are very rich, very wealthy. You know, they're in business, they're doing business, and they're making a lot of money. They're successful in their business, but they don't have an education, a university education, and it's a regret for them today because now it's probably too late for them to go back and all of that. They, you know, dealt with so many things. They don't have the time, age, and all of that is no longer on their side. You know, there's some things that you cannot manage without an education. I tell people that a lot. And it started from even my days in um, Ibadan when I freshly, you know, just started my business. All the time I was running my business in Ibadan, I was always having students, and my students were mostly university students. I trained university students, I trained graduates, I trained medical doctors, like actual medical, not students now, medical doctors who just had spare time with, you know, leave or something, and they wanted to learn how to sew, even if just for the sake of it. Now, people are more drawn to you. The educated people, the people who have the money, the kind of money you want to collect, they are more drawn with you because to you because they can relate with you. You can sit down and have an intellectual conversation with them. They don't look down on you. You know, you have that courage, you have that poise. In fact, when people see you outside, you're the one. I have a habit of introducing myself as a tailor. I just tell people I'm a tailor, you know. And people are like, no, stop it, you're a fashion designer. And I'm like, last, we're all sewing clothes, you know. It's a joke for me. But people find it easier to see when you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and all of that. People find it easier to imagine that, oh, you work in one top organization and all that. And when they eventually find out that you're into fashion designing, you know, there's that respect. Like, wow, you're a university graduate and you're doing this, you know. So that's one, there's that respect. It also affects the kind of people you attract, the kind of clientele that you have, you know. You're able to sew for professors, you're able to sew for top government officials, you know, because they are proud to say this is my tailor. You're not just one person just looking shabby and not being able to comprehend little things, you know, and speak good English and all of that. Those things are key. So there's a respect factor that you cannot underplay. We're in a society where, you know, people are so interested in your value, you know. So there's that. You have value that you're bringing. Another thing is your packaging, how you're able to manage your business. Take it or leave it. The way a university graduate will run their fashion business is different from the way a maybe school set holder or a dropout or whatsoever would run theirs. You're able to do so many more things. You know, there are a lot of courses I take online that I learn a lot of things every day. You know, I go all out. It's easy for me because I already have that foundation. If you don't have that foundation, if you just finished, you know, high school and then you just went into fashion design and all of that, the rate at which the fashion industry is growing these days, you cannot afford to be in one place. You're going to become extinct in no time, you know. I'm taking courses back to back every day. Some of the courses are international, at the international level. Do you understand? You must have the barest. There's some of them that even require for you to be a BSc holder, to be a degree holder in whatever. They don't care what your degree is in. but you must have a degree, right? So you have better opportunities, you're able to apply for grants. You're able to, when you apply for grants, for instance, there's so many questions that you ask, especially some are international. There's so many questions they will ask, so many things. You're able to respond better because you have it all together, as against somebody who doesn't have the education. So there's that as well, right? And then there's the issue of also being able to learn faster. Like, I run a fashion school, an online fashion school. We have a website, and we have someone who designed the website for us. And people find it difficult when people find it, funny when I tell them that, when I shoot my videos, I edit all of my videos by myself and I upload them on the website by myself. I manage the website by myself. The only time I have to call on the website developer is when we have major technical issues. Now, it's easy for I learned these things on my own. I learned them remotely. It's easy for you to learn all of these things, pick up all of these skills, when you already have an education. The online fashion school thing is a multi-million-dollar industry on its own. Do you understand? So you can you, if you don't have an education, you miss out on a whole lot of things. So in fact, you cannot underplay it. You cannot underplay it.
Hmm.
I tell everybody, even people who come to me to learn and all of that, I always tell them, see, you have to go back to uni or to study whatever, but you do need to go back to it. It helps you to manage your finances better. It just exposes you to so many more opportunities than just being out of high school and saying, well, I want to go and learn how to sew. So yeah.
Wow, wow, this is a very, very interesting. I mean, this is very, very insightful at the same time. Thank you so much, Shalewa. There's a question here that I will quickly throw to you, something by someone to me indirectly, and the person is asking, did you add any regrets being a graduate of nutrition and dietetics? Do you by any means kind of look back and say, I regretted going to school or studying this course?
Okay. For one thing, I do not regret going to school. I do not regret going to school. Life is a school in its own, and like I said, I'm learning more things every day. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like to study. It's just nicer. It's easier on you when you're studying something you're interested in, something you enjoy. You know, right? So I have absolutely no regret going to school. As for studying nutrition, I have no regrets in the sense that I met some very amazing people along the line, both lecturers and fellow students, in nutrition. That's one. Two, I also learned some things that I use in my day to day. Like for instance, I can tell you pretty much anything you need to know about exclusive breastfeeding. So when we're having conversations about diets generally, about your health, health and diet related issues. And I start saying some things in certain settings. They look at me like, are you up to it? How do you know these things? I'm like, bro, I studied human nutrition. So there's that fact that, I'm able to contribute to intellectual conversations. So it's a plus for me, it's a value added to me, right? So there's that as well. And then there's also the respect. Like, okay, so there's this way that when I'm in a when I'm in a gathering and I really want you to give me that, when I don't just say, oh, I'm a nutritionist. Yeah, when we hear that I'm a nutritionist, they're impressed, like, oh wow, nice. But I go on and tell them I graduated from the College of Medicine, University of, it's bragging rights for me. Oh, that's College of Medicine alone. When we hear and I break it down, Faculty of Public Health, Department of Human Nutrition, University of Ibadan, it's like woo. So yeah, I mean, it's bragging rights for me. It boosts my confidence. I mean, you cannot a dull person cannot graduate from human nutrition in UIM. No, you can't be a dullard. So it goes a lot to tell people that I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but I mean, it goes to tell people that to an extent you're intelligent. You're not just a pretty face. You're not just into fashion because you can't comprehend anything else. You know. So I mean, I graduated. I didn't drop out. If I dropped out, they could have said, "Oh, it's because she couldn't cope there. She had to now go and no, I graduated." So yes, it's bragging rights for me. I have absolutely no regrets. I'm very proud of it, and you never can tell where I'm going to find myself tomorrow, and my certificates will come in handy.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. I actually wanted to quickly ask that question that have you found yourself in a situation where you had to make use of your nutritional knowledge. Maybe talking to a client, you can, if you have any experience, if at all, maybe there's a scenario where something happened and then you have to latch on your nutritional knowledge to perhaps give counsel or talk to anyone in that regard. Have you ever had such experience, any experience of that nature?
Yes, definitely. So many times in casual gatherings, I'm somebody who is also particular about children and how you raise them, how you nurture them. So and a lot of times I find myself amidst young mothers. Some of them you have to really take your time to educate them about exclusive breastfeeding, why it's important. And when I'm talking to such people, I'm not just talking out of experience because I'm a mom. I'm talking as somebody who is grounded, who has knowledge, in that aspect. So when they hear the things that I say, the terms that I use and all that, they're convinced. It's
Hmm.
convincing enough. So there's the aspect of exclusive breastfeeding, and then the general nutrition, the general diet, health habits, eating habits of the child, that. So I never miss an opportunity to educate young mothers on how to their diet while they are pregnant, for starters, and then when they are breastfeeding, their diet and that of the child, things they, as the mother, as a breastfeeding mom, should not even eat.
Hmm.
Diet is related to their health. You're able to see a child, and why is this child pale, and you need to make sure that you incorporate iron in their diet, suggest what and what they can take. It's free consultation.
Yeah.
But I enjoy doing it, and I get respected by, because they know that I'm not just talking
Hmm.
because I just happen to know. I'm talking because I have a degree in that field, in that discipline.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for this. I mean, I'm sure a number of people will have picked some of those things that you have said, that you can actually use what you do, even though you might not be working with your certificate, but you can as well use your platform that you have to promote nutrition, to promote healthy eating, to promote everything that has to do with good life, healthy life. I mean, you just talked about that fact that whatever gathering you find yourself, I'm also sure that you also relate with some of your clients in that regard. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for giving us this insight and also inspiring a number of students that are kind of found their way in something outside nutrition, not necessarily fashion, but many of them that are also in love with passion. So you can see there's a hope for you seeing our dear fashionista, our dear fashion designer. She says she's a tailor, our dear tailor, telling us a story and how she has been able to navigate through the process. Let me quickly ask you, Shalewa. So you are now full time into fashion. You're doing well. Can you tell us how the business is for you? I know you have like three lines of businesses. Could you just tell us about how you have been able to focus on your primary business and how everything evolved into something, to multiple streams of income for you? Can you just share an insight to us in that regards? How you were able to focus on one thing and that one thing gave back to other things in your business.
Hey, thank you very much. Okay, like we all know, I started with normal basic fashion designing, making casual clothes in school, and then I got a bit more trained. I started doing more party clothes, bespoke, and all of that. And then I started wedding gowns and all that. But I was running everything as one business, then. And then the fashion school aspect just happened because I opened my store, and automatically people would just walk in. Do you train? And I'd be like, yes. How much were we doing trainings then? Maybe 10,000 naira or something for 6 months. We weren't even charging so much then. Business like that, everything was just happening together. And because I was a fashion designer, because I was a tailor, you'd have people, maybe family friends or something, who want to sew, and she can sew the curtains. And I was like, yeah, I can. And I'll get into the market, take measurements, buy without any serious knowledge. Sometimes I'll even subcontract the sewing of the curtains to people, and then maybe throw pillows and that was where gradually I was picking interest in interior designs. Okay, so basically the businesses I do right now are ready to wear line, ready to wear and bespoke. So under the ready to wear and bespoke, we do dresses, we make things like what I'm wearing. We just have them in our store in different prints, in different sizes. You walk in, you see what you like, you get in your size, you pay, you go. If you don't have it in your size, you can place an order, you have it ready within 3 to 5 days, it's delivered to you. So that's the ready to wear. The bespoke is when you come in, whether with your fabric or not, but you have an idea of what style you want. You want us to make something custom made for you location, so that's the bespoke. So we run those two as one arm of the business. And then there's the bridal line. So we have just June bridals. The bridal line, we make wedding gowns, we rent wedding gowns, we make bridal train clothes, we make traditional wedding clothes, everything that has to do with weddings goes under the bridal line. So that's being run as a separate business on its own as well. And then there's the June Academy. That's so it's basically focused on, we run it like a proper institution. It's not like what we used to have, like apprenticeship in those days. Into any of our classes, it could be the beginners class, the intermediate class, the advanced class, or you might be taking a crash course in the particular wedding gown or something. Make it formal. You have a timetable. We have, our, um, processes business. And then there's the interiors that I went into after I moved to Abuja. So, like I said, while I was still in Ibadan, for color and beautiful spaces, lines, and all of that. I just like when things are nice and coordinated. And so I'd always known that I wanted, but I didn't really know too much. I didn't even know the interior design industry was this big, as at that time. But moving to Abuja, I was able to find an interior design school where I enrolled. I took a course. I graduated top of my class, bragging rights. Because yeah, I really loved it. So I put my 100%. And I remember getting my first interior design job before I even wrote my final exam in interior design school. And I made good. It just went like that. It's not an everyday thing. It's not every day you get interior design projects like we do with fashion designing, but it's a creative business. So there's that aspect of the business as well. So that's how. So moving to Abuja, why it looks like, oh, now I have. For the fashion school, for the bridal line, and for the bespoke and ready to wear, it was more of what I'd been doing all along. It's just that there was no structure. I
Hmm.
want to learn. Okay, you're an apprentice, come in, pay 10,000, pay 20,000, you do 6 months, you go. But now we've been able to put better structure as a school. There's the online courses that we have. We have our website where we host our courses. We're presently working on developing, where it's easy for students just download the app on their phones and they have easier access to our courses. But right now, we run the courses on our website. We have students from even outside Nigeria, people I've never met, people take crash courses and all of that. People are enrolling for courses. And then, so basically that's how so the fashion business is what grew to give us now the ready to wear line, the bridal business, and then the fashion academy on its own. But the fashion business helped me also to grow my clientele with interiors. So yeah, I pretty much just made it on like that. And yeah, that's it.
Wow, 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 wow. This is great. I mean, you have really, really opened our eyes to the fact that no matter what you find yourself doing, pay attention to
Sorry, I can't
yourself.
hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear
Like
me?
might be.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I still can't hear you.
All right, but I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, I can hear you.
Sorry, I
Thank you.
can't hear you.
All right, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me now? Okay. Let's see how it goes. Can you hear me now? Apparently, the network. Yes, I can. I can see you. Can you hear me say something? All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. Let's see what we can do to the technology now. I can hear you. I can hear your background noise, the siren moving. The vehicle moving with siren. Now I can't see you. All right. I can hear your background noise.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Oh, good. All right. So I can no longer see. Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, good, good. All right. So I was saying thank you again for your time. Thank you for sharing from the wealth of your experience. One thing that you made mention that I really want to emphasize in your last feedback has to do with how you did not relax, how you did not stay back on just being a fashion designer. You still further ahead by going to school in your fashion line. You still went to school of interior and you were able to also expand your scope. That is very, very key, and that's very, very uh, enlightening for us. And I'm also sure that other people that are also listening can also pick one or two things from what that you are, all that you have said. That you don't just rely on the little thing that you know. Build on yourself, build on your capacity, build on your skills, build on your talent. I mean, furnish yourself and get yourself more equipped, and then who knows, opportunity will also will prevail itself, and then as opportunity prevail itself, you'll be able to explore more and more. Thank you once again, Shalewa, for sharing this insights with us. We are grateful for these that you are sharing free of charge. I would maybe I should say this on a lighter note. If any of our students in the field of nutrition and dietetics, if they found themselves in Abuja, I hope they can come over to your store and also get more insight from you. Or if they want to be trained, of course, they will pay a training fee,
Special discount for
but there
that.
will be special discount. Thank you very much for that
Yes,
special
definitely
discount.
get a special discount.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. So you guys can hear that if your interest is in fashion, if your interest is in bridals, if your interest is in interior decoration, please feel free to reach out to our dear guest if you find yourself in Abuja or you live near or around Abuja. She stays, lives, and do her business in Abuja, and I'm sure, as she mentioned, she's going to give a special discount for anyone in the field of nutrition and dietetics. So to wrap it up this evening, Shalewa, I would really will ask you, um, how do you see being a nutrition student? How do you see it turning out when we say that many of our students are not really staying back in the field of nutrition? They they are also expressing themselves or exploring things that are more passionate to them. What would you say? Do you think it's something that we should be concerned for? I'm sure you have some of your friends that are also out of the field of nutrition, and some that are also in the field of nutrition. I'm referring to the place of purpose now. How do you see purpose being followed or being pursued as a result of the place of passion that each and every one of us have found ourselves? You know, the reason why I ask that question is because many people still feel that I graduate with human nutrition and dietetics, therefore I must get a job in the field of nutrition and dietetics, and they get frustrated. Some even get depressed with that. What can you say on how they can focus on their inborn gift, inborn talent, on making them to have sense of fulfillment and sense of purpose?
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to say, first of all, think is an issue of awareness.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people are studying nutrition without even being totally aware of what the course is about. School level, I don't think you would go to any secondary school in Nigeria and ask any student, what do you want to study in the university, and they will tell you human nutrition. So that tells already that, permit me to say, 90%, no statistics to back this up actually, but just human nutrition students entered not even knowing exactly what the course was about, or not even wanting to study the course. Me, so that's a major issue. So already for a lot of people, that is already a red flag, because that's already points to the fact that, look, this person just needs to graduate and then find something else to do. Okay, so if you are in that category, for me, that was what worked for me, because I found my passion early enough, so I was able to. But if you're, and then maximize all of your time as students, no matter how busy you are with schoolwork and all of that, we still always have spare time. I mean, you have time to go to parties and all of that. So if you've discovered your passion at that point, don't wait till when you get out of school, because the moment you're out of school, you begin to have responsibilities. After your NYC, you don't want to go back home. You should be able to do something for yourself, whether you have a job, whether you're planning to look for a job or not. Even if you're still living in a free house, you're still living under your parents after NYC, you should at least be able to. We all have that mentality. It's not just about whether you're able to get a job in nutrition or not. From uni, start asking yourself, okay, even if your passion is nutrition, you want to study nutrition, ask yourself, if I graduate from human nutrition today and I don't get a job within 1 or 2 years, where am I going to be doing with myself? If you don't plan ahead, if you don't know what you want to do ahead, the tendencies to be frustrated are there. So don't wait till while you're in NYSC before you begin to plan your. For helped me, because I had built my clientele while I was in school. So when I graduated and I opened my shop, getting people to patronize me was never a challenge. The sooner you start, the better. Of course, bearing in mind that you should not affect, your education. Now, if you're somebody who came in, yes, and since I'm there and I'm studying nutrition, I want to be able to work with my certificate, you should explore the digital, when digital age, and in fact, this age, as technology has helped us to be able to do so many things so easily, right? For instance, now I can decide today that sewing clothes has become stressful. I don't want to have to be chasing after customers and all of that, and I can decide I just want to focus on my fashion school strictly, and I can do aggressive marketing for my fashion school. In fact, I can decide I don't even want to be seeing my students and focus strictly on the online fashion school and not have a physical fashion school, and spend all of my time recording tutorial videos, editing them, posting them, pushing for sales and all of that. And I'll be making. What I'm trying to say is, where we have found ourselves, there are different aspects of it. There's so many different things. I don't know if, for those on Instagram, on social media, a lot of us follow a code doctor, right? This guy is an actual medical doctor. And I don't know if he's practicing or not, but I can bet you what he's making on the side will be much more than what the actual medical profession practicing as a medical doctor. Because now he's an influencer. He's using his knowledge of medicine to educate people. He has a large following and he does it like a joke, right? But this knowledge of knowing how to shoot videos, edit videos, post, and all of that is also coming in. So no knowledge is wasted. I get very upset when people sign up for our online courses and they have issues logging in, because our login process is so easy. Like, just put in your email address, create a password you can remember, and you're in. And a lot of people still want you to help them to log in, to register online. And I'm like, are you not educated? So education is beyond just reading your book and knowing what is in human nutrition. The knowledge we acquire from here and there, things that are not related to your course, are the things that would help you to boost that your course to get you to be where you want to be. As a nutritionist, as a nutrition student, you can decide to start a YouTube channel today talking about different aspects of nutrition. Package it, make it look nice. Get people. You could get your lecturers to begin to interview. You could interview some of your fellow students. You could go to the hospitals, and talk to patients, who need. And you could offer free advice, free services, and you have a YouTube channel. Push it. You can make money from creating content on YouTube. By the time you're graduating from university, you already have a following, you already have a course. Before you know it, people are coming to you before you know it, you become a brand influencer because of your following, and you've used your knowledge. Apoko Doctor today is a brand influencer. Do you understand? Companies are paying him for adverts, and they're paying him heavily. And what is he? He's a medical doctor by profession. But how did he get where he is today? He's using the knowledge he has from medicine. But if you're the lazy type that needs somebody to even help you to log into your own Instagram account, I get, so you need to, no knowledge is wasted. Pick up every knowledge that you can along the line. Network, there's so many things that you can do as a nutritionist using that knowledge of nutrition. Go to hospitals, and then a lot of us don't want to do free things. Everybody just wants to make money, make money. Sometimes you need to volunteer. Go to places where your services are needed. Do things. You don't know. Along the line, somebody will discover you. They will discover that they need you. By the time you start, maybe you're having Instagram live once in a week. Maybe every Sunday evening, you just want to take 15 minutes on Instagram live to talk about a particular aspect of nutrition, about exclusive breastfeeding, about how to prevent diabetes using your diet, or how to manage dietary management of diabetes. Do you know how many diabetic people are out there that information will be valuable to? But because you believe that information must fetch you money today, you're looking for somebody who's going to pay you for that knowledge. It doesn't work that way. Be ready to do something for free. Along the line, someone somewhere will discover, oh, there's this person who does this, there's this person who has this YouTube channel. We need to, so can we invite them to come and give us a lecture on so, or to come and educate these people on so, and they will pay you per hour, they'll pay you for your time, they'll pay you as a consultant. Or you never can tell, you can even get a job offer. There's so many platforms out there that we can leverage on, but you need to use what you have to get. So don't sit down and be writing applications and be waiting for a white collar job. Create opportunities for yourself. You'll be shocked how people are going to discover you, even from all over the world. The doors will open. It takes a while. It's a process, right? You build. A lot of us too are not patient. A lot of people don't want to go through that process. People want to start something today and start seeing results tomorrow. My dear, it doesn't work that way. You need to give it time. You need to build it. You need to build. You need to build your audience. You need to build their trust. And the good thing about technology now is you can reach out to people that are in countries where you don't even have a visa to go to, and there's so many of these people who are willing to pay for your services, but you need to start something first. So there's that. And then there's also the aspect that I think the Insurance Society of Nigeria should look into, and that's the aspect of awareness. Like I said earlier, if it means going to secondary school to give career talks, let's educate secondary school students about nutrition, what it's all about, what we do. There's some people till today, when I tell them I'm a nutritionist. They, ah, so you can cook, ah, can you bake, can you? And I always had to explain to them that I don't know about now that it's nutrition and dietetics, but when I was in UI, it was human nutrition. So it was more of the medical aspect than the cooking aspect, you know. But the moment people see, I tell them, no, I didn't do food tech in school. I didn't do food and nutrition in school. You know, I did human nutrition. They're two different things entirely. So a lot of people don't even know. So when they go to the uni, and the only course they can find to, you know, go into after being you know, being rejected for medicine is human nutrition, they just shut up. They just, you know, we're going to be cooking, you know. Already you are in a department where you don't even know what you're doing, you know. So that awareness is key, that orientation is key, and it should start from secondary school level. We want to see people, we want to start seeing students filling their jam form and putting human nutrition as their first course, first option, you know, not just as a backup plan for when they got rejected for medicine and all of that. So I think if we start that and people actually come wanting to study human nutrition, you will see the passion in them as their students. You see them creating opportunities. You see them. It's easier for them to even get jobs that way because they are doing stuff they are really interested in, and you know they're more, you know, knowledgeable and all of that. So yes, I think that's my take on that.
Wow, this is great. This is great. Thank you so much for this insight that you have shared with us. Quite a number of things that you have said. I actually penned a few down. I just talked about just three of them or four of them. You talked about the need for us to always plan ahead. Always plan ahead. Always plan ahead. Then that no knowledge is wasted. No knowledge is wasted. Whatsoever you have been exposed to, be rest assured that that knowledge is useful for something, and don't just waste it. You talked about the fact that um we should not just pass through school. We should allow school to pass through us. We should not just pass through the university. Let university also pass through you. That is also very, very key. Then you made reference to the place of volunteering. This is cool because many of us will just want to make money. Many of us just want to have that money and just settle there. If there's no money in it, I'm not going to go for it. It's very key for us to know that whatsoever we do or we plan to do, at times they start from the place of service, from the place of service first. Do it, volunteer with your time, with your talent, with your giftings, and they see what will come out of it. Then we talked about the need for us to begin to create opportunity for ourselves. We should be innovative in our thinking. You should be innovative in all that we do. For instance, this kind of engagement is an innovation that we brought in place in order to meet the needs of the student. All right, this is kind of thing we're talking about. If you have fresh ideas, things that you feel could be useful that you can do on your own, please do it. Seek counsel. If you want to talk to people about it, share your idea with people, and then run with it, be innovative, and then who knows, somebody somewhere might be looking for the exact thing that you are doing. Perhaps you begin to gather your experience in the course of that which you have set out to do, and then use what you have to get what you want. I picked that, even though you didn't say that directly, but I picked that. Use what you have to get what you want. Thank you so much, Shalewa, for all these that you have shared with us. I'm sure a number of us are also taking note of this message that we are getting from you free of charge. I sincerely appreciate you for your time. Our time is fast spent. We're meant to spend 1 hour, but we overshoot our time. Like, I wouldn't know whether there's a last closing remarks or last word that you wish to tell our dear and esteemed students all over the country.
Okay, thank you very much. One thing that I would like to tell people is whatever the situation, whatever the difficulty, don't give up.
Yeah.
Giving up should never be an option.
Mm.
Once you know what you want out of life, look, there are a million and one ways to achieve it. If you try one way and it doesn't work out, try another way and try another way and keep trying until you get it right. From each failure, what you've gotten is an experience. You've learned how not to do it, right? Everywhere is tough. Oh. I tell people, when people look at me and they say, "Oh, you're so lucky, you've never had to work a single day, you own your own business." I'm like, "Oh, I wish I could sleep the way you sleep. You sleep well at night because you know at the end of the day, at the end of the month, you're going to get paid a salary. I cannot sleep at night because I know that at the end of the month, I have to pay people's salaries. Whether business is coming in or not, I have to pay my staff. So, what I'm trying to say is that the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. Every career path has its own challenges. So if you're determined you want to practice nutrition, you want to practice as a nutritionist, you are going to have challenges to face along the line. What should keep you going is that determination, that focus, be able to say, this is what I want to do, this is the path that I chose, and I'm going to give whatever it takes to get there. Rome wasn't built in a day. So don't ever give up. Just keep getting better. Keep improving yourself. Never stop learning. Never. Don't go a month without reading a new book in whatever aspect. Don't go a year without learning a new skill. Maybe it's a different skill entirely or something that has to do with, as a nutritionist, there are short courses I'm sure you can take. There are conferences, there are seminars that you can attend, that'll give you better knowledge, give you, make you, more versed in your field. Grab every opportunity you can. It's not everything that you pay for. There's so many free courses out there. There's so many free webinars out there. Grab them. A lot of people, even after you tell them that a webinar is free, they're still looking for someone to buy them data. Don't be stingy to yourself. You have to spend money to make money sometimes. So there's that. So if you want to practice as a nutritionist, give it all it takes. Make sure you're always developing yourself. Make sure you're not in any competition with anybody, but always try to be better than your previous self. Always try to be a better person every day. And if you're also going into business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it is not easy. It is not easy. But when you have that determination, I've been running my business for over 12 years now, and what has kept me going is the determination. Like, look, whatever happens, failure is not an option. Even when you hit rock bottom, you pick yourself up and you forge ahead. Learn your lessons from all your mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? Learn your lessons. The fact that you failed at one thing is not an excuse for you to give up. Just find a better way to do it. There's always a better tomorrow. Always. I've learned that thing. I've faced like so many challenges, in the line of running my business. I've made bad investments. I have lost money, but I always pick myself back up, and I always tell myself, Shalewa, you can do. The best person to motivate you, to talk to you, trust me, is yourself. When you're by yourself, tell yourself, what can I do differently? What have I been doing? Has it been yielding results? Itemize everything you do and look at the things you do that bring more results, and work harder in those areas. So basically, the point is, don't give up. Whatever path you choose, whether it's career, whether it's business, whatever you choose to pursue, do not give up. Give it your best. Keep pushing, and you keep getting better.
Wow, 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 wow. This is you should be a motivational speaker. I think you need to add this to your profile. This is great. I mean, yeah, I like the last word that you talked about. No matter what we experience in life, we should always know that there is a better tomorrow. There is a better tomorrow. That is key for me. No matter what we experience currently, guys, please note what Shalewa just shared with us now, that there is a better tomorrow. Don't give up on yourself. Be ready to spend money in order to make more money. That is also another keyword there. Be ready to spend money in order to make more money, and never stop learning. Never stop learning. Don't give up on yourself. Never stop learning. Failure is, I wrote something down here, that failure is an experience garnered towards your success. So whatever shortcoming that you're having now, quote and unquote failure, just know that is and experience towards your eventual success. Nothing is wasted. No experience is wasted. Thank you so much, Shalewa, for being with us here today. And I also am convinced that a number of our folks that are watching us live or going to watch us later, we have learned one or two things in the course of our engagement this evening. Thank you so much. And I also appreciate you once again for indicating to take any of our students that is willing to come under your tutelage to train under you in whatever a line of fashion business that they would love to go to. Thank you so much for having us in consideration. We sincerely appreciate you. Once again, we cannot thank you enough for this, and I'm very sure that your business as is thriving, your life will continue to also thrive in that line as well. Thank you once again, everyone, for being with us this evening. We come to the end of today's session and then this particular series. Watch out for more series in the nearest weeks or month to come. I pray, I want to encourage you, please take time to listen to each and every of these series that we have had, right from episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3. Listen to them. Definitely you will learn one or two things from there, and you see that there are a number of things that cut across each of our guests that have spoken with us. Please take note of those and their experience, from their own personal experience, that had made their life to be better, and they have also helped them in making life decisions. Once again, I sincerely appreciate you for being here, and then I pray that whatever field that you choose to be, whether to practice in the field of nutrition and dietetics, or to be an entrepreneur, or to go into other things, please, I want you to take note of all the lessons that we have made mention in the course of our discussion over the past few episodes. Thank you once again, Chalewa, for being here. I look forward to seeing you once again very soon. I mean, very soon. All right, everyone. At this junction, I would like to drop the curtain and say I'll see you at another time. Bye for now. Bye.